Okay, so today what we're going to look at is the cosine rule, and we're looking at the cosine rule finding a missing side, okay? So straight away, when we look at this here, we see that we're dealing with triangles, so straight away that tells us that we're dealing with trigonometry. So we need to look at trigonometry. So trigonometry, and we'll go through the framework for trigonometry. So the way we work with trigonometry is the first thing we look at is angles in a triangle equal or adding up to 180 degrees. So in this case, I look and see, does that help me? Okay. And it doesn't help me in this case because I'm looking for this side, so these angles here won't help me. The next thing I look at is 90-degree triangles. If I look at a 90-degree triangle, I need to look and see if I have one, and in this case I can't assume that I have a 90-degree triangle because I don't know what these angles are, so that means I can't do anything with 90-degree triangles. So I can't use Pythagoras' theorem and I can't use trig ratios. The next thing that we think of is area of a triangle, and the area of a triangle doesn't help us in this case because there is no area given, so that's no good to us. The sine rule is next, and with the sine rule we need opposite angles, so we have an angle opposite a side, so that will help us. So let's just highlight that. So we compare the two of them together. We could also pair two of these together, but the only issue I have now is I can't use the sine rule because I don't know this angle and I don't know this side, so there's too many unknowns. Okay, so similarly, if I was to use these two, I don't know this side, I don't know this angle, so there's too many unknowns, so I can't use the sine rule. So I have to eliminate the sine rule. Okay, I'm just rubbing them out. Okay, so that brings us on to the cosine rule. Okay, so that's how we know we need to use the cosine rule. The more practice you get with these kind of questions, the more you'll be able to know straight away that I need to use the sine rule or I need to use the cosine rule. But just the general rule of thumb, when you're using the cosine rule, which is what we're using now, okay, when you're using the cosine rule, you need three sides and an angle. So you need three sides and an angle, and in this case we have 1, 2, 3 and an angle. Obviously we're looking for one of those sides, but we consider that to be one of the three sides. So when you're using the cosine rule, you have three sides and an angle. Okay, so we'll start that off. So I'll introduce the rule for the cosine rule first of all. So that's going to be, the rule itself is going to be a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos of a. So needless to say, this looks very, very complicated. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot of different terms. There's a's, b's, c's, there's negatives, there's cos, or there's trig functions. So it looks complicated, but it's not as complicated as it looks. Okay, so the only thing that you have to make sure you do, which is very, very important, is label your triangle correctly. Triangle correctly. That's the only thing you need to do. That's the only challenge here. Everything else after that should be easy, right? And when I say label your triangle correctly, what I mean by that is that you always label A first. So label the angle A first. Angle A. Two will be side A. And 3 will be B and C. So that's the only real rules that you need to follow, right? So it's very, very important that you always label the angle A first. Okay. So I'm going to start doing this question now. We'll have a look. What I need to do is label the angle A first. So I'm going to label the angle A first, and that's going to be this one here. Next thing I need to do is label the side A, and the side A is the side that's opposite the angle. So this one here is going to be lowercase a. B and C are next, and it doesn't matter which one is B and which one is C. They're just the remaining two sides, so you can label B and you can label C just like this. Okay, so again, I can't emphasize enough how important this is. You have to make sure that you label the angle A first, which I've done here. I've labeled the angle, capital A. The side A is the side that's directly opposite, so that's this one, which is going to be X. And then B and C, it doesn't matter which one you label B and which one you label C. They're just the remaining two sides. Okay. From here, the next few steps are easy. So from here, you just need to fill in what you have. So instead of a, I'm going to put in x. So x goes in there, x squared. That's equal to, instead of b, I'm going to put in 8. Instead of c, I'm going to put in 10. Minus 2 times b, which is 8. C in this case is going to be 10, so I'm going to put in 10 there instead of C. And the cos of A is going to be cos of the angle that's given, and the angle in this case, A, is going to be 60. Okay, just while we're there, I'm just going to show you the log tables. So if we bring the log tables in, this is page 16 in the log tables. You can see the cosine rule is here. So this here is the exact same as, I'll just highlight it. This here is the exact same as what you have, and they show you the triangle, and in the triangle, the important thing is that A is opposite A. B and C, it doesn't matter what order they're in this question. Okay. So the next line there, we're going to have to simplify everything, and this is where it starts to get easy, right? So just do it bit by bit. X squared is still x squared, so we still have an x squared there. So x squared. 8 squared. 8 squared is 8 times 8, which is 64, plus 10 squared is 10 times 10, which is 100, minus 2 times 8 is going to be 16. 16 times 10 is going to be 160. Now, sometimes teachers tell people when they get this far, just type it into the calculator. You could type all this into the calculator and it will give you an answer. I would advise you to write out the steps as I'm doing them here, because there is marks going in the marking scheme for getting this step, typically. So if you got this correct and typed it into the calculator, but made a mistake typing it into the calculator, or wrote it or typed it in incorrectly, then you'd lose marks. Whereas if you had done it step by step, like I'm doing it now, then you would have gained marks. Okay, so it's important that you understand that. So this is going to be 164 minus 160 cos of 60. So x squared will be equal to, and I'm just going to type that into the calculator now. When we type this into the calculator, you need to start by turning on the calculator, so turn it on. You then need to make sure that in your calculator, so if we just look there, you can see in this calculator here, might be a little bit dark, there's a small little D up here. That just means that your calculator is in degree modes. If your calculator isn't in degree mode, the way you fix that is you just press Shift, Mode, and 3. Okay. Now the calculator is in degree mode, I'm just going to clear it so that I have a fresh start. So clear it by pressing the AC button. And then what I need to do is I need to type this in here. So I need to type in 164 minus 60, 160 cos C. So 164 minus 160 cosine of 60. And you can close your brackets and press equals. So I know there that that's going to equal to 84. Okay. Now from that, I know that x squared is equal to 84. So I need to find out what x is equal to, and x is equal to the square root of both sides. So because I've got a square here, to get rid of that square, I need to get the square root. So if I got the square root of that, I'd be left with x. And because this is an equation, I have to make sure I do the same to both sides. So I need to get the square root of 84. And the square root of 84 will leave me with, let's check. And I'll put another video on there. Okay, and if we just type in there the square root of 84, it tells us our answer. So our answer there is 2 root 21. Okay, But instead of writing 2/21, we might be asked to give it in decimal form. So if you want to turn that into decimal form, you press the S to D button, which means standard form to decimal form, and that will give our answer in decimal form. So we'll press that there. So you can see there, the answer is 9.16515139. So x equal to 9.16515139. We could get asked to round that to 1 or 2 decimal places. For the sake of this video, I'm just going to round this to 2 decimal places. So I go back to 1, 2, draw a line. If this line is 5 or greater, which it is in this case, then I need to round this 6 up. So my final answer on this question will be x is equal to 9.17 centimeters. So that is how we do the cosine rule, finding a missing side.